Oh my goodness. I look awful,
So
but it's okay.
you do not.
Oh no, I was on my 70 or 75
You're
hard.
fine. So putting humility aside, I want you guys to say, because you're producing right now and there's a lot of agents struggling. What do you think is the one or maybe two things that you are doing right now that you're pretty sure most people are not, that is setting you apart and keeping you active and producing? What would that be? One or two things? Jide, if your service is okay, you go.
I think for me, the most important thing is just consistently calling and talking to people. I know we've talked about this in our office meetings with the accountability. I have it in my team to hit that accountability sheet or whatever that we use to hit that 50 points, which is a combination of conversations and calls and all of that. So I've always been very consistent with that, and it works. So my pipeline is always pretty deep. So I know throughout the year I should be closing deals. One of the reason I asked for you guys what you were doing in terms of reaching your goals is I typically don't ever have a period where I'm doing more business than other times of the year. So my spring season is not much different than my summer or fall or winter. And that's just how it's always been. And I don't, we talk about within our office meetings a lot that you should have your spring season should be the best time, but it's not for me. I kind of just close regularly throughout the year. And I was wondering if it's the same for you guys, or do you have that season where you kill it and then the other seasons are slow? But the consistent follow-up and the consistent calling and all the contacts is what makes my business move.
Could not agree more. We can all comment in a sec. Let me just get everybody's one or two things. Okay, what's your one or two things that you think is setting you apart from staying consistent right now?
I think the same thing. I'm following up more than I've ever done. Calling. I'm beginning to ask for referrals more than I ever did. And just being on top of it. I'm trying to be as consistent as I can be. I may have days that I struggle with that because of other things that come up. But yeah, it's the success I've had so far is just being very intentional and holding myself accountable. That hey, today I stopped yesterday. Today I gotta step it up. I gotta follow up and call, right? Yeah, that's on my end how it's working. I don't feel I'm doing as well as I want to do, right? And I try to run my own race as much as I look at Jide or Nneka, you look at you guys putting all these numbers and like, I need to get my ass out of it, do something, call someone, right? So being around people that are performing has helped me more, because I can do things on my own. Thought I could motivate myself on my own. Yeah. But being around people that are doing it right, pushing it, you just get up and do your own race and not being intimidated by what other people are doing. And I don't do as well as other people, but I can do better than I do, right?
Two things stick out for me that you said: intentionality and proximity to power, right? Intentionality. My aunt told me this a long time ago. The best thing you can do for yourself is check your intentions, right? Like when you're doing something for someone else or not doing something for someone else or making a decision, it's not so much about what that decision is, what's your intention behind it, right? And then the other, so for you saying that that's a big piece of your business and running your own race and being intentional about it, that only good things can come from that because you're coming from a place of wanting to give value. And then the next thing you mentioned was just who you surround yourself around. Tony Robbins said this and it really stuck with me. Proximity is power. I try my hardest to keep myself around people that are doing what I want to do, doing other things that scare me, that I don't love doing, and really keeping my eyes open, keeping my mind open to what is different about them, why is it that they are able to succeed and do some of the things that scare me, and how do I get out of my own way? So I love that. Lin, what is your one or two things, and then we can just comment on each other's, because I definitely have some comments on Jide's. Go ahead, Lin.
So Nneka and I was part of Relationship Rich event that Nneka's lender, Patty. Thank you so much for introducing her to Rex. She's amazing. And it was called Relationship Rich. And I was like, oh my goodness, like she put so much time and money and energy to put this event together. Like, what is her motivation? She's like, you know what? I just want people to get together and know each other and have fun. And just from that one thing, like I found Justin Smith, who was a wealth building workshop. I mean, it's all about the relationship, period. Like, you know, and it's all about coming from that giving mentality. Like, what can I do to help you? You know, I had no idea when I walked into a Silvar meeting that there was a new agent standing there, and I was out of town the week before and they canceled the meeting. This is when we still had in-person meeting. And the person was like, Lillian, this is a new agent. You know what you're doing. Can you just talk to her? So I'm like, you know, I'm not going anywhere for an hour. I committed to this meeting that was canceled. So I spent an hour with her. From that meeting, I got three transactions from that. Just like, you know, yeah, what can I do to help you? She was a new agent. She was scared. She didn't know what she was doing. And she actually wanted me to help her buy and sell and then refer me to another friend. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I can help you. You know, I don't have to have the sale. She's like, no. I want you to guide me through it. But it's just focusing on the relationship, I think. And then the other thing is, if you are in a transaction, to focus on what the client's true fears are and to get to the heart of it as much as possible, because they're, you know, it's the elephant in the room. And sometimes I step out of it and I'm like, you know what, if you don't need to sell, then let's not do it. Let's look at what your plan B is. You want to rent it out? Okay, here's some property managers, you know. And
you need time and space for that person without knowing what they could give to you, because it's not about that. And so often we get so busy, we don't create space and make time for people in general. And if we're not concerned about what can this person give me and just concerned about building that relationship, magic happens.
Absolutely. That's all I have to say.
Jide, you commented on, I kind of agree with you, but I think my perspective on it is a little skewed, because most of my business, I mean, a lot of our business, the last 2.5 years before the last year was COVID driven, right? And then before that, I was really hungry and having babies, and it was early in my career. So I've always felt like when people say, oh, the winter months are so slow, I've always said the winter has been my busiest time. And I think it's the immigrant mentality, because I don't sleep on it. When everybody else is sleeping, I'm still hungry and I'm not taking vacations. Not that I'm saying don't take vacations, but for where I've been in my life, like for the past 5-6 years, it hasn't been, you know, a priority, if you will, to be on those vacations. So when everyone is like October through December, they're like, I'm, you know, doing whatever, and good for them. I'm out here taking their business. I'm out here getting the calls where my agent's out of town. Can you help me out? Yes, I absolutely can. And I will get you into contract. Right. Or the sellers are like, I don't want to sell right now. Okay, I will help you rent it out, because I do that all the time. I'm not afraid of that. I tell more people not to sell their home than I tell them to sell. So they trust me. And then I help them for like a year with whatever rental or whatever, and then they're ready to sell. So I feel like no matter what the time frame is, I'm always consistent, because like you said, you're just always lacing that pipeline.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. So
go ahead. Okay.
From maybe October, the winter period, things that slow, people go on vacation, or whatever, right? I've in the past had also leveraged that for buyers, because it's less competitive. It means, you know, the few inventories that are there, the sellers are going to be willing to kind of deal, because a lot of people are not purchasing. So on the buying end, it actually works out better. So I've had good winter periods just for that reason as well. And I don't hold or make buyers wait, but buyers that I have within that period, I close more quickly than other seasons.
Totally. I agree. If I had to say one or two things that I think is setting me apart right now, and it's funny because there's a good friend of mine, she's an agent also, and we joke around a lot because and of course she sees me quite often, but she's like, you attract, like the deals you attract, they have issues, like, and she doesn't say it in a bad way, but the funny thing is, here's two things, because I don't take offense to it at all. I'm very clear. She even said it. She's like, you're so service driven that you attract people that know you will take care of them, and they often have problems. Here's the deal. Brett told me this long ago, and I'm going to butcher the way he said it. Our income potential is directly related to the problems we solve. So she even says it. She's like, I know I probably only hear about and see the problem deals, and you have some other easy ones. I'm like, it doesn't bother me easy or not. But what's interesting is most of the time, realtors are so lazy, they don't want to touch the hard shit. I touch them all day long because those are the people who will write you a 5-star review and refer you to 17 people. And the story they tell is not, oh, call my realtor, she's great. It's call my realtor, you will not believe what she did for me. Da-da-da-da. Those are the type of reviews and testimonials that I'm getting from people. So whether I attract them or not, I don't really care. Maybe I do, but those are the people that stay loyal to you. So I think for me, what I'm doing that sets me apart is I'm not lazy to the hard work that it requires to get someone to sell their home where they have a 2 or 3% interest rate, to buy something at a 6 or 7% interest rate, to find money from left, right, borrow money, all that stuff, having all those conversations, those counseling meetings with them. I think that's the only thing. I think that's always set me apart. And now that I feel like I'm so confident in what I do, I have the right people, I have the right CPA, I have the right lender, I have the right whatever, that will also dig in, and they're not like, I'm done at 6 p.m., don't call me. That doesn't work. I'm not going to bug you all the time, but for those clients that are struggling and trying to make big decisions, they might need you at 8 p.m. Half of my clients that do the most amount of business, I can't talk to that, like have a full-on Zoom with them until after 9 or 10 because they have to put their kids to bed. So I don't have the luxury of like setting too many boundaries because I'm still wanting to grow and I want to be there for people. So I think that's the thing I'm setting apart, but I have gotten better about setting boundaries that work for me and work for my husband and all that. But I think that's the difference, is I'm not afraid of a hard scenario or, problem solving. It's always been my strong suit. I'm super tenacious. That would be mine.
It's, I think
I agree with you.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Jide.
I was just going to say, I agree with you 100%. And I think, yes, you got to set boundaries, but I think in our market and the types of people we have to deal with, it's super important to be able to be there for these people that have difficult situations. I know I have one right now where every Zoom meeting, like you said, is at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. They have 2 like rambunctious boys that are very difficult to deal with on showings. They can't go to open houses. They can only do private tours because they can't control those boys when they're in showings or at open houses. So, but you do create the best relationships with those people, and they will give you the best referrals down the line, and they'll be clients for life.
You guys have been amazing. Someone's waiting for my. Fine. Yeah, I'll see you next week. I have it down on my calendar Tuesday. Okay.
No problem. Sounds good.
All right.
Bye. Okay, what were you gonna say?
No, I couldn't agree. I was just reiterating what you and Jide said. This was an issue for me 2 years ago in 2020 or 2021, because I'm service oriented, right? Sometimes you kind of do it so much that it takes away from others. I had a client that took me a year to close just because, he's self-employed, but he desperately wanted to buy a house, but he didn't know how. And I was patient, went through the process. He had him file taxes, he owed money. I had him make a payment arrangement with IRS. It took almost 3 months for them to send that paper payment arrangement agreement. And finally, we bought a house. He's given me 4 deals in the past 2 years, referrals. And I mean, he tells pretty much everyone, right? And I tell everyone, if you guys have watched Godfather, Al Capone's lawyer, Tom, when he went to LA, I don't know if you remember the horse situation where they threw the horse in there. Anyway, so Al Capone's lawyer just had one client, which is Al Capone, right? And in my head, I want to treat every client of mine like that's all I got.
Oh, wow.
So I pick calls. If I'm in a meeting, I text you. If I'm not able to text because I'm driving, I make sure I call you. And like you're saying, boundaries, the same thing. I used to have clients call me 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Now what I do is that, I've gotten better. So maybe to 8 o'clock sometimes maybe 6, depending on what's going on. But I want to treat every client. I want you to feel like you are all I got.
Yeah.
You're buying a $200,000 home, well, not 200, but 200, but it doesn't matter the price point. I treat you like you're buying $10 million home. And I had a client that told me, they brought me to do a loan for him. So right off the bat, they told me, oh, you're just gonna do the loan. Okay, she already had a realtor. Within 1 week, she got rid of her realtor, came to me and said, okay, why don't you do the real estate as well? And I said, if you don't mind what happened, I think with your friend. It was like, okay, you don't make me feel stupid, right? You explain everything.
Wow.
You are very patient. And I'll tell them, even if I explain something you don't understand or you forget, feel free to ask me and I'll come back to you. And if it's something that we don't know, we go figure it out. But it's a partnership between me and you, because I'm going to need you to do certain things that will allow me to do things to help you, right? Anyway, so it works like a charm. What I'm doing now is I'm managing my time well. So I kind of use it where I don't get too stuck in one transaction or one client. It
Right.
takes away from me. So that's for me to manage my time well and be more efficient to be able to help more people. Anyway.
Totally. No, I agree. I love that quote, that analogy to Al Capone. I didn't know that, but that's true. You want every client to feel like they're your only client. So often I get, I'm so sorry, Nneka, I know you're super busy. And I'm always like, no, that's why I did that thing on IG the other day. Like, no, I'm not busy at all. Cause that's literally how I, say it to them. Of course, I've got stuff going on and kids and all that. They can see that on my Instagram, whatever. But when it comes to the service we give, you literally want them to feel like they are never a bother. Every question they have is valid and all of that. So critical. Customer service 101 for sure.
And if I may add, I learned something from you, Nneka, I think from the last, maybe in one of the meetings, the sales meetings, even when a family member or a friend comes to you to help them, they already trust you. But I show up prepared, and I did that last week on the listing that I got, because I know how I know the family, but I showed prepared, I was there on time, and I wanted to just show, did my presentation, even though they were like, I already got it, let's do it. When you said that, it got stuck from me, hey, don't get too comfortable. So thanks for saying that.
No, totally. I agree. Yeah. Too often we get comfortable like, oh, they're going to use me anyway, until they talk to some random person and they ask, who are you using? And they feel like, oh, I guess I'm just using them because they're family. You want them to say all the value propositions you have for them. So, well, I'm going to talk to Naoko and Jose and probably have them on the next one. I'll send you guys a message, make sure you guys approve. I'll talk to them and see kind of what they bring to the table. I definitely want to talk about code switching. We can do it next time, but I'll maybe send you guys the video of it ahead of time so we don't waste time watching it, and then we'll talk about it, because I'm very intrigued to see what you guys have to say about it and how it's influenced your upbringing in your life. But I will see you guys later. Thanks for chatting.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.